All right, so you sent us some predictions about this upcoming UFC fight.
Oh, yeah.
Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano.
Sounds interesting.
And I gotta say, looking at it, this one, it seems like it could go either way.
Yeah.
Both of these guys are really known for grappling,
Mm-hmm.
but they've also got, get this, the same reach, 72 inches.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
So it's like a level playing field in terms of, how far they can reach each other.
Yeah, one can't really use their reach as an advantage, you know?
Exactly.
And so then it really comes down to skill and who can implement their game plan.
Yeah, so to really get into the nitty-gritty here, we're going to do a deep dive on this prediction.
Right.
Really unpack what it's saying about the fight,
Mm-hmm.
who might come out on top,
Cool.
and, maybe even help you decide where to place your bets.
Okay.
Now, the article that you sent picks Moicano as the winner,
Interesting.
but it calls him the underdog. So can you maybe break down what it means to be an underdog in UFC betting?
Sure. So when odds makers, the people who set the lines,
Yeah.
they look at a fight and they put together all these different factors, recent wins,
Yeah.
styles, perceived weaknesses, all these things to determine who they think is more likely to win.
Okay.
And sometimes you have a fighter who, on paper, looks really good,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe they've been on a losing streak recently.
Right?
Or maybe they've got a style that matches up really poorly against their opponent,
Yeah.
so they become the underdog. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're not as good a fighter.
I see.
It just means that, all things considered, the odds makers think they're less likely to win.
Okay, so it's more about just the context of the fight, not necessarily about their, overall skill.
Exactly. It's about the matchup.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look at their track records then.
Okay.
So we've got Dariush, 35 years old,
Mm-hmm.
22-6-1 record,
Okay.
5 knockouts, and 8 submissions.
It's interesting.
Moicano, also 35,
Wow, okay.
comes in at 25-1.
Mm-hmm.
2 knockouts, but 10 submissions.
Okay.
So, what jumps out at me is like, okay, both fighters, very experienced.
Yeah, very experienced.
But Moicano's got a lot more submissions.
Yeah, significantly higher submission rate.
And actually, if you look at the prediction,
Yeah.
it says Moicano victory by submission
Interesting.
in round 3.
So they're really leaning into that submission game that he has.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me to my next point here.
Okay.
Because in this article, it also highlights one of Moicano's weaknesses.
All right.
Historically, he struggled against wrestlers,
Okay.
aggressive wrestlers.
Interesting.
Guess what?
What?
Dariush is known for his wrestling.
So we got a little bit of a clash of styles there, potentially.
It's almost like a puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's like, we have this guy, Moicano, who is predicted to win via submission,
Mm-hmm.
but then he's got this vulnerability to wrestlers, and then you have Dariush who can exploit that weakness.
Yeah.
But he also has to be careful not to get caught in a submission.
Exactly.
So it's like, it's really a classic grappler versus grappler matchup,
Yeah.
but with these like little stylistic differences
Yeah.
that make it super unpredictable.
That's what makes it exciting, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You never know what's going to happen.
So, reading on here, it actually suggests some bets
Oh, okay.
that you could place,
Interesting.
including something called a hedge bet on Dariush winning by knockout.
Okay. A hedge bet.
So what exactly is a hedge bet?
So a hedge bet is basically like an insurance policy on your bet.
Okay.
So let's say you're really leaning towards this prediction
Yeah.
that Moicano is going to win by submission.
Right.
But you also recognize that Dariush has got, some power in his hands.
Okay.
So you could place a smaller bet on Dariush winning by knockout,
Mm-hmm.
just in case.
Cover your, okay.
Yeah, so if Moicano wins by submission, you still win overall.
Right.
You make a profit.
But if Dariush, lands a big punch and knocks him out,
Right.
then that hedge bet might help offset some of your losses.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a pretty cool strategy.
It's a way to kind of play it safe, but still keep things interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And speaking of playing it safe, the article also goes into like,
Yeah.
some of the finer details of their fighting styles.
Mm-hmm.
And it's highlighting that Moicano's striking, his precision and timing
Okay.
could be a key factor here
Interesting.
in exploiting openings in Dariush's aggression.
Right, because if you think about it, if Moicano can use his striking
Yeah.
to keep Dariush at bay or even hurt him early,
Yeah.
then that might open up opportunities to take the fight to the ground.
Get that submission.
Exactly.
Right. And, we were talking about submissions earlier, but,
Yeah.
Improved striking can help you in more ways than just, knocking somebody out.
Absolutely. I mean, it's about setting up those takedowns, controlling the distance,
Yeah.
really dictating the pace and flow of the fight.
So it's like Moicano might have more tools than
Yeah.
we give him credit for.
It sounds like it, and you look at his stats, 10 submissions in 26 fights.
Yeah.
He's dangerous everywhere.
He's not just a submission guy.
Exactly. He's well-rounded.
Okay, so let's kind of bring this all together.
Right.
So we have this prediction favoring Moicano,
Mm-hmm.
submission in round 3.
Okay.
It acknowledges, though, that Dariush does have that knockout power.
Right.
And it's highlighting Moicano's striking as this potential X factor.
It's fascinating how much depth there is to this matchup.
Yeah.
You have these two guys, and on paper it seems like it should be fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
But when you really dig into it,
Yeah.
there's so many different factors at play.
And I think, kind of what makes it more unpredictable for me is also that.
Yeah.
Moicano does have that history of struggling against wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have Dariush, who, is very experienced.
Yeah.
Well-rounded.
Yeah.
So it's like...
And they both have this potential to really, have their strengths be their downfall if they're not careful.
Exactly.
It's a really interesting dynamic.
So, knowing all this, given that this is a deep dive into prediction and odds, I'm curious.
Yeah.
Who would you put your money on?
I don't know if I would want to bet against either one of these guys.
Yeah.
They're both elite level.
Yeah.
And they've got a lot to prove.
Yeah.
That's what makes this matchup so exciting.
It's so hard to pick.
Yeah, you got the data, you got the analysis.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it comes down to those two individuals.
In the octagon.
Yeah, stepping into the octagon.
Like that night. It's the human element.
Yeah. Yeah.
It throws all the predictions
Out the window.
out the window.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps us coming back for more.
Absolutely. So for you listening, I'm curious.
Yeah.
If you were placing bets on this fight, what other factors would you be considering?
Oh, there's so many things you could look at.
Yeah.
Age, recent form, the specific odds offered by different bookmakers. There's a whole world of analysis.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, that you can go down.
But I think, it's important to remember that even the most informed predictions
Absolutely.
are still just educated guesses.
That's right.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
there's always that element of unpredictability in MMA.
That's the beauty of it all.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so before we wrap up here, I do have one final thought-provoking question for you.
Okay.
Could Moicano's historical weakness against wrestlers actually be his downfall in this fight?
Ah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Dariush is, a relentless wrestler.
Yeah. And if he can implement his game plan effectively,
Yeah.
he might just expose that vulnerability.
And, I think that's what makes this fight
Yeah.
so compelling, right?
Absolutely.
It's like you have this clash of styles,
Yeah.
the potential for upsets, the unknowns.
Right.
And it's like, we've explored the predictions.
Right.
We've looked at the odds.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's up to these two warriors
Yeah.
to step in the octagon and
Write their own story.
write their own story. Exactly. And that's where the real deep dive begins.
I love it.
It's going to be a good one.
I can't wait to watch.
Edge of your seat.
Absolutely.
That's what we love about the sport, right?
Yeah.
You never really know what's going to happen.
Until those gloves touch.
Exactly. Yeah. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
We could see Moicano defying the odds,
Yep.
overcoming these, struggles he's had in the past.
Yep.
Or we could see Dariush, capitalize on those weaknesses and just dominate the fight.
That's the magic of MMA.
It's the magic, yeah. It keeps us guessing. It keeps us analyzing.
Sigis is coming back for more?
It keeps us coming back for more.
Absolutely.
All right, well, there you have it. A deep dive into the predictions and the odds
Yeah.
for this upcoming lightweight showdown between Beneil Dariush and Renato Moicano.
A great fight.
So we've unpacked the stats, we've explored the different potential outcomes, and hopefully we've given you something to think about as you make your own predictions.
Yeah.
Now it's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy the fight.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it really is. It's going to be one of those, you're on the edge of your seat the whole time.
Yeah. Nail biter for sure.
And that's That's what we love about the sport, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's like you just never know
You never know
what's going to happen.
until those gloves touch.
Exactly.
It's a sport where anything is possible.
And anything is possible, yeah.
I mean, we could see Moicano just defy all the odds,
Yeah.
overcome those struggles that he's had in the past.
Against wrestlers.
Exactly.
Or we could see Dariush, take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And just, have a dominant win.
It's what makes it so exciting.
It's the magic of MMA.
That's the magic, yeah.
It keeps us guessing, keeps us analyzing.
And coming back for more.
And coming back for more, yeah.
Every time.
All right, well, there you have it.
There it is.
A deep dive into the predictions and odds for Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano.
Great fight.
So we unpacked the stats. We looked at the potential outcomes. Hopefully, we've given you some food for thought.
Absolutely.
As you make your own predictions for this fight.
Yeah.
Now it's time to just sit back, relax, and enjoy the fight.
Can't wait.